In a world where most people watch movies and then forget about them, these brave heroes join forces to watch them again and then talk about them. Join them in their epic journey as they go back in time, a decade and beyond, to revisit and break down films from a vast array of genres. Do these movies hold up over time? Are they classics? Find out on Retro Movie Roundtable. Starring your hosts, Bryan Frye, Chad Robinson, Dustin Melbardis, Lizzie Haynes, and Russell Guest. Coming now to headphones in your ears.
Welcome, all you lords, ladies, and knights of the Retro Movie Roundtable, where we watch movies and then talk about them. I'm your host, Dustin Melbardis, and joining me today are my good friends and co-hosts, Bryan Frye and Chad Robinson. Bryan, say hello.
Hello, hello.
Chad, you also say hello.
Hi, Zev.
We've got three boys on the show. It is time for a Dealer's Choice episode, and this is my Dealer's Choice. I decided to bring this one up. You already saw it when you clicked on it on your podcast app, but this one's mine, and it definitely falls into the Dustin saw this as a kid. Does it hold up? Is it any good? And so I love these kind of episodes. We got three hosts on, and we are going to start with a warm-up question. I will start with you, Mr. Robinson. What would it take for you to believe a time traveler? Or would that person just be crazy from square one?
Oh, see, I tell my wife I have received a phone call from myself. You know how the scammers can spoof and clone your phone number, and occasionally it'll show up as whatever else. But one time it said Chad Robinson is calling.
Whoa.
And I looked at my wife and I said, I have to answer this because if this is me from the future, it's going to be really important. So I will always answer calls for myself. That's what it would take for me to believe a time traveler. It's got to be me. It's got to be fantastic. Myself or someone closely related to me. If my wife was calling me, but she's also sitting in the same room, I would believe whatever that person says.
I love this because I think we have brought up on the show a couple of times who are the people that push the button, who are the people that accept the evil book, who's the one that goes up the stairs or further into the catacomb. And we have differing opinions for sure. But I don't know if I was expecting you to say, oh, yeah, I'm taking the call from myself. Mm-hmm. I have to know.
Yeah, it could be very important information. Right now, it's just that my car warranty is expired.
Right. Or, hey, now you and your future self have a share of a beautiful property. A timeshare now. Yeah. Bryan, same question here. What would it take for you to believe the time traveler, or is that person just nutso?
I'll try to keep this succinct, but there's a lot of variables that go into that question.
Oh, do not keep it succinct. I want to go into them.
You know, if a dude comes in literally covered in feces, like, the end is nigh, I'm probably not believing him. However, if it's someone who's, mildly cogent and forming complete sentences and spits out something that, rings a bell or, only I know or something like that, oh yeah, I'm definitely listening to him. The funny thing is, I talk to everyone who comes to our door. So it could be, Mormon, pick your poison. I'll talk to everybody. So likelihood is as long as they're like not raving lunatics, I'll at least hear them out. I'm a huge fan of the quote, if no one comes from the future to stop you, how bad of a decision could it really be? Help a brother out. If I do something later on, send a message back. I'll hear you out. It's fine.
Bryan, I am not 40 years old yet. I'm close. But the idea that it would take me nearly 4 decades to learn such a nugget of knowledge to help free me from my corporeal bonds, how bad of a decision could it be if I didn't come from the future to stop it?
Yeah.
That will be weaved into my normal everyday life, I think. And yeah, I can't wait to tell you guys when I use that. Why did you do this? Nobody stopped me.
Nobody stopped me. I didn't stop me. I mean, if it was really that bad, I think I would have stopped me.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I look forward to telling my boss, nobody stopped me, not even me.
Yeah. It's really important to note that I didn't stop me. Future me did not come back to stop me.
Oh, yeah. There's a reason I get side eyes in the workplace. I am also the kind of person that wants to give someone the time of day. I don't think that person's crazy from square one. You did bring up, like, are they a modicum of cogent? Are they speaking in
Yeah.
complete sentences? And that really matters in our movie tonight.
And it's not all on us. I want to make that very clear. It's not all on us to just go completely out on a limb and say, hey, let's hear this guy out. They need to come up a driveway, saying something like, you had your first kiss on this street. And I'd be like, all right, tell me more.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like there's some pressure on the other guy to get me there.
They've got to hook you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not just me taking the leap. There also has to be some really good, like, hook bait material on their side. Because, either they're coming through like Terminator and they're butt naked. That's going to be some question marks. Or,
that's
they come across. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, or they come across, with their mind, damaged from the trip or something like that. Like, you got to have some hook.
Yeah, but I think that's the interesting thing, and it may be, as far as tropes in movies go, it makes it so special if this can ever be accomplished on screen, because I am kind of the impression that, like, my life doesn't matter to how the world goes forward. And so if somebody that was important was coming back in time, and I'm just one of the bikers in the bar, or if I'm just on the street listening to a stark raving mad lunatic, at that point I'm going, well, what could they know that was relevant enough that it would have, like, made news? And I think this movie includes one of those today's. I remember that, because what we really want is, well, how do you verify? Oh yeah, what you're realizing is, you guys, who's playing in the finals right now? Okay, well, what you're going to see is that this team's going to make it and this team's going to win, but you don't have time. See, you never have time when they come back to you in what you think is the present. Is things are always, we got to move now. So you never have the time to do this verification, really, unless it is you. In which case, that's a good answer from you, Bryan, is if it is you, yeah, they could tell you what your first kiss was, where your first vehicle was, or something that only you would know. But it is, I think, a rare thing to actually get something. Do you know the outcome of a presidential race? Well, that's, 2 years from now or whatever. I think what it does is, this question allowed me to kind of disassemble the trope. Is, I don't know if there is an objective way, unless it is you talking to you, to say, yes, I should believe this person. Because I think in every situation, it's, we got to go now and I need your car. I'm like, okay, I think that's my next question. And that's why I said I wanted to dive into this, is, where do you draw the line? Chad, do you draw the line? Hey, I need your car right now. Like, okay. Or no. Nope. Can't have it.
Yeah, I have the opposite approach. I have reached this stage where, like, I believe nothing. I'm one tennis ball away from, like, shaking a walking stick at children with a tennis ball on it and saying, get off my lawn. So I hate when people approach my house. And
brother, I'll sit next to you. I'm game. That sounds like a Friday afternoon if I've ever heard one these days.
Come on
in. I'm completely game.
Yeah, I had the solar panels dude come up, and I talked to him, and he starts off lying to me. He's like, "Your wife's on board. You just need you to sign off on it." And I said,
"That's a bold leap."
Yeah, I said, "Buddy, we're off on the wrong foot. My wife and I actually talk because we're married, and it doesn't really matter. It could be." I don't know, who do we put as, like, one of the most beautiful women? Margot Robbie could come knock on my door and say, "Hey, Chad," she's never met me. "Hey, Chad, I need your car." And it'd be like, "Go away. Not today."
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would see where that goes.
No,
can I come too?
That's kind of. Can I come too? I think is.
Can I come too? Right? Yeah. Can I come too?
No time.
Tell me where to go.
Uh-uh.
But yeah, time. Isn't that the question? Well, let's move on to our next question. Chad, what's the last movie that you saw?
I watched Lee Cronin's The Mummy. If they really wanted us to know, this was from Lee Cronin, who is not the Mummy. That is a very deceiving title.
I understand why they drew that line.
Well, it was going to be The Mummy, and then we get the announcement of Brendan Fraser coming back and doing The Mummy. So it's a complete misdirection, though. Like, the title implies we're going to get some type of mummy. This is The Exorcist with a slight Egyptian flavor to it, and it's not very good, so I was disappointed.
A non-recommendation for Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Guess what? Lee Cronin is not The Mummy.
No,
Brian, what's the last movie you saw?
they deceived me twice.
Drat.
I watched this show starring Matthew Good on Netflix called Department Q, and I really enjoyed it, and I wanted more, so I looked up if it had been renewed for a season 2. And yes, it had, and it'll be out this summer. However, I also found out that it's a series of movies in Great Britain, so I downloaded all of them. And I've been slowly watching my way through those. The last movie I watched is called The Keeper of Lost Causes.
If it's from Great Britain, Department Q is people lining up? Or that is that is the letter of the department?
Yeah, the letter of the department.
Well, we've got a non-recommendation and a recommendation. You are going to get a recommendation from me. I had never seen Sudden Death with Jean-Claude Van Damme until 2 nights ago. And that is okay. It's fun. And if your favorite team gets knocked out of the playoffs, go give yourself 95 minutes of Sudden Death with Jean-Claude. And I believe, as far as my experience, Powers Booth's best role on screen that I've seen.
Come on, Frailty.
I like him in Frailty. I think I like him better here. We like Frailty on this show. Chad, what are we covering tonight?
We are covering 1995's 12 Monkeys.
Starring Bruce Willis, Madeleine Stowe, Brad Pitt, and Christopher Plummer. That's right, released in 95, budget of $29 million, relatively low for a sci-fi flick, but it grossed $57 million domestically, and it did break the $100 million mark worldwide. Placed in the box office 31st, that is right behind Species and right ahead of Clueless. The number one movie in 1995 was Toy Story. IMDb gives this movie an 8.0. Our Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter for our critics is 88%, and the tomato meter for our audience is 88%. They align there and relatively high. Chad, what was your background with 12 Monkeys?
I want that trifecta of movies of Species, 12 Monkeys, and Clueless. Like, all of those are great for, you could go through a gamut of emotions there.
Quite the triple feature.
Yeah, I kind of want to do that just to confuse everything. I had no background with this movie. I feel like this is a movie I confuse with something else and I have no idea why.
Dark City?
I don't even know the name of the movie to confuse it with.
That was my knee jerk. Like, if the movie hadn't kicked me directly into the TV show, my plan had been to then kick on Dark City immediately after. Yeah, that was my logical follow-up to watching this film.
So I had no background. Whenever you mentioned this, Dustin, it was more like, I haven't seen this, and I know it's supposed to be well regarded. I couldn't have even told you what genre it was going to be. I try and walk in ignorant of everything, just how I approach life in general, just as much ignorance as possible. But yeah, I pretty much knew where we were going from the get-go. I'm like, okay, I see what's going to happen here. I see how this is going to flow. There were some twists and turns, but it definitely, like, okay, this is definitely a Dustin Frye episode. and I am going to be the oddball out. I enjoyed it, though.
I guess I'll ask. That's 31 years ago that this came out, and that's kind of an important timeline for this. Do you feel like it holds up?
Pandemic time traveling. Yeah. I'm glad we didn't do this a few years ago, so it's nice to be removed a little bit from that. But it is kind of funny seeing it in 1995, and it's like, 1997, the world's going to end. So that part feels a little bit off. Like, if you told me 2026, the world is going to end, I'd be like, yes, please.
I can't believe what people thought in the 90s, like flying cars in 5 years. It's just that they really thought we were going to make some really big leaps really quickly. Like, I think about the movie Strange Days, which also came out in 95, and that was just about the year 2000. And you're just like, okay. Or Johnny Mnemonic,
Yeah, we've had a whole lot of other events that have certainly gotten in the way. But, I remember we were worried about Y2K, and there were books and media written about that, and all types of things that could get in our way. But Bryan, since you brought it up, what was your background and expectations for tonight?
So I saw this movie, I'm going to say early college. I think this was one of the vintage video and games pickups. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. Now, I was catching up on a lot of movies that kind of flew mainly under the radar that dealt with, future tech sort of vibes. So I already brought up movies like Strange Days. I would put this in the same category as like Donnie Darko, Looper, Minority Report, Children of Men, and Dark City. Those were all even though they're not specifically linked to the time travel aspect, they were all very dark movies that dealt with, what the future may or may not be, or maybe what's going on in your mind, or, some sort of is it real? Is it not real? Which all are parts of this film too. So I was going on a really big kick of this sort of non-mainstream mind screw movies.
Yeah. And I think these mind screw movies do require your attention, which is something I could not give this movie fully, at least with a critical eye, when I was young. I saw this in high school, then I saw it again in my early 20s or so, and hadn't seen it since. I just remembered that's a movie that's cool.
I definitely think I revisited it once, maybe in the mid 20-teens, just because I was like, oh, I remember that movie. That movie was cool. So I've seen it probably in the last 15 years, which is another decade after I saw it the first time. So it's something I've revisited, and I was like, oh, that, I do think highly of it. I can't say that it's something that hits the rotation once a year or anything like
that. I think it does put a little bit of a burden on your brain to keep up with it if you don't already know. It was something I always thought was cool, but hey, the reason I love to bring these as dealer choices is it good? We are going to throw to an ad from one of our friends on another show, and then when we come back, we have a plot summary that is going to be delivered by Mr. Robinson, and then you do not want this movie spoiled for you, so this would be a great time to go and watch this movie, and we will see you on the other side.
Welcome to the All 80s Movies Podcast.
I'm Bill.
And I'm Jason. And this is the podcast where we talk about the blockbusters, the flops, and everything in between from one of the freshest decades for movies, the 1980s. So whether you're a brain, a jock, a valley girl, or a Jedi, we've got some 80s classics for you.
Do these movies stand the test of time? Are we discovering something new? Is there an 80s movie we're finally watching for the first time?
Join us each week as we dive into the cinematic nostalgia that inspired and influenced a generation. From the hits to the cult classics, we'll discuss our earliest memories, favorite scenes, fun facts, and our not-so-favorite movie moments, too.
It's the All 80s Movies Podcast, now available on all major streaming platforms. Please subscribe and happy listening.
And we are back, and this is your final warning. This episode is on 12 Monkeys. We're going to talk about 12 Monkeys, and before we do, we have a plot summary about 12 Monkeys, and you want to watch this movie before you hear us talk about it. Chad, take it away.
What movie are we covering again?
If you hadn't heard, audience, 12
just
Monkeys.
So you guys know, we're only covering 9 of the 12 monkeys while we're on tonight.
This is most of the monkeys. Yeah.
It is a majority of said monkeys.
And several of these monkeys had no room on the bed.
Bad gorilla. Yeah.
You know what? This all started, the mess we're in is because we shot Harambe. So, that is what I'm going back in time. I am saving that monkey.
We're saving Harambe.
Oh, yeah, that kid is just SOL. But
so wait, what's the little monkey that's been all over social media with the stuffed animal and the other monkeys don't
Punch the monkey?
Yeah. So what about Punch?
Punch has a girlfriend now, so we no longer feel sorry for Punch.
Oh, got it. Okay, I didn't realize. I have not been keeping up on the TMZ of Punch.
Punch was a rejected monkey, and they gave him a little stuffed animal to cuddle because his mother threw him out for just being a terrible monkey. And so he was cuddling this little stuffed doll and carrying it around, and everybody felt sorry for him. This was in Japan. And now he's got a girlfriend. So I'm envious of the monkey and his social life. Like, he was only socially ostracized for like a week before. So I kind of hate this monkey.
You kind of hate this monkey.
You already know. The funny thing is, you know way more commentary. All I knew is there was this poor little monkey that they had to give a stuffed animal to because all the other monkeys hated him, and he was cute. And I was like, that's messed up. That's it. That's where I stopped.
I had no commentary on this monkey. I was going to say,
where I stopped.
I was going to say, give him a roast beef sandwich and send him down a well.
This is what I bring to the podcast. In addition to great plot summaries on 12 Monkeys. That's
12
right,
Monkeys is what we're covering tonight.
All 12 this
Monkeys
time.
Yep.
We negotiated for it, all 12.
Right. James Cole is a surviving prisoner in the near future after a global pandemic wiped out 99% of the population. He's sent back in time by a team of scientists to discover the origin of the virus so a cure can be developed. However, instead of sending James to 1996, he's, and I'm using air quotes, accidentally sent to 1999, where he's institutionalized and meets Dr. Catherine Rayleigh, who diagnoses James with a Cassandra complex, which is someone who believes he knows the truth, but no one will believe them. James escapes the institution and is transported back to his present before then being sent back in time again. He's briefly sent to the trenches of World War I, where he encounters Jose, another inmate on a similar mission as James, before he's sent on to 1996. James then abducts Catherine, who comes to believe in his mission of tracking down the purported originators of the virus, a radical group called the 12 Monkeys. However, it turns out the 12 Monkeys were just a bunch of hippie kids determined to set zoo animals free instead of unleashing a deadly virus. Cole calls and leaves a voicemail at a designated number saying that 12 Monkeys are a false flag before he's greeted again by the inmate from World War I, who provides James with a gun. James recognizes that it's actually a Dr. Peters who will unleash the virus, but is gunned down by airport security before he can kill the man. In the background, James's younger self watches his older self die, fulfilling the dream that recurs to James throughout the movie. After all, the past cannot be altered, but the future still can.
Interesting. I think with this plot summary, and I'm glad that our first-time watcher wrote it, do you think, and hey, no judgment here, but do you think the plot summary can, especially, within 2 minutes, go over the twists and turns of a movie like this? I think the way that you just described it made it sound like, wow, kind of straightforward, but there's a lot happening here.
Yeah, it's impossible to cover
right.
all the things that they try and do. And I'd be interested in your guys' viewpoint, because when I'm watching this, I know it's treated as a mistake, but I feel like everything the scientists did was very intentional. The World War I to meet Jose, the 1990 instead of 96. I don't think that was, whoops, we miscalculated our jump. We're new at this, whoopsie daisy. I think everything was very intentional on their part.
That's interesting.
Because they really hammer home the point of, James says right from the get-go, I am not here to change the future. I can't, what happened is going to happen. I can't do anything about that.
Yeah, I think that's maybe one of the bigger things about this movie that kind of sets the entire tone, is that we learn that the present is bad. It's written out for us or typed out for us in an exposition text that says, 99% of the population was wiped out. And now we're in the future, and things got so bad that this is what we're going to attempt to do, is we can only recover from what has already happened. And Chad, you just said it just now, is I'm not here to change that it happened. It did. The point of him going back is to find a pure germ before it mutates. And that way they can then create a cure to where the real present remaining humans can then go back out into the surface of the earth and reclaim their quote unquote dominance, be able to live on Earth again. So there is no quote saving the world, end quote, for 1996. I think if we have this as a backdrop for the entire movie, I mean, Brian, you'd said hey, I was going through some movies that were really dark. I think that really sets the tone for this, But I want to get into the micro stuff a little bit later. But I guess I'll ask you this, Brian: is this overarching tone where the world cannot be saved? How does this work with your investment in our characters and their mission?
I think that line gets completely thrown out immediately at the beginning of this movie. Because at no point in time is he collecting samples. Is he trying, like, he's very deliberately trying to get out of the mental institution to stop the end of the world. So I feel like I didn't even hear it my first go around with this film, because the whole time you're thinking, oh, he's going to stop, you get the flashbacks of, dude getting shot and everything. Like, I don't think you ever believe that he's not there to change the future.
Oh, I knew from the very first flashback that was him. Like, I knew.
Yeah. So at no point in time am I thinking, oh, he's just there to get a sample of the virus. Like, it's just not what's going to happen in this film. And to talk about it, and please, I'm going to recklessly jump into this right here.
I think we should. I think it deserves.
And I'm going to use air quotes heavy with sarcasm here. They're not scientists. That one woman's the woman at the end on the plane. She's an insurance. Like,
no, she's not. She's not an insurance.
The people who are left are not the best and the brightest. They're just the ones that happen to be immune.
But Chad, you're saying she's lying on the plane.
Oh, she's not really insurance?
Yeah, like, number one, they're doing allusions to Fight Club. There are a lot of different things here that they're playing off of Fight Club. They really like it. There are other movies that I find a little spooky, like Bruce Willis at one point says something like, all I see are dead people. We then get The Sixth Sense later on. They mentioned him crawling through a ventilation shaft, Die Hard.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of those things. But I took it as, like, what is insurance good for? Insurance doesn't prevent anything. Insurance is
for
after the fact. So she is there as insurance of, like, he's going to do his thing, but she's going to go and collect that sample. They now have the dude who's responsible. She's now there. Yeah, I could take it as an ending of it's just a coincidence of this insurance salesman is now the scientist, because we've seen Idiocracy.
Well, I mean, look at how comically dumb the panel of again, air quotes, heavy air quotes, the panel of scientists are. Now, obviously, they figured out how to use a machine to go back in time. So there's got to be at least some level of ham-handed expertise here. But I choose to look at it as they're just not that good at it, which is why he's being sent all over a mess of HELL. So I don't buy that those who are left have a whole lot of crayons in the box. They're just still trying to do some Picasso with it.
But
I thought all those were intentional.
As engineer, microbiologist, zoologist, geologist, astrophysicist. Carol Florence is the one who plays astrophysicist, who presents herself as Jones in insurance to our David Morse character, who I know that his name is Dr. Robert
Peters.
No, Dr. Peters, thank you. But I cannot help but call him David Morse. That's who he is. But the idea is, like, we already have, like, our two hosts saying, like, oh no, I believe two completely different things. And this is great. Is I did not choose this movie for us because I relish when we don't know. But I do relish when we don't know. I love when we don't know for sure. I think that helps. With it. And we have to kind of suspend any hope that we have of fully getting the entire picture by the end of the picture. Because there would be, I think, on a second watch, and I gave it a second watch within 48 hours to prepare for the show. I think on a second watch, you're able to see a lot more and follow much easier because you're knowing what to expect and you're kind of looking out for certain things. But this movie really does throw a whole bunch of stuff at you with the journey of James Cole and Dr. Catherine Riley. This is difficult to really keep track of everything. So, Chad, this was your first watch. We have no indication from our very first scene of a volunteer being sent out into the world that it is going back in time. Like when you see him in the snow, you are not meant to know, I think, that he is going back in time. When he's collecting I believe he grabs a spider and he gets a cockroach and he puts in a little jar. Chad, this scene where he's in the snow and there's a lion up on the roof, you weren't supposed to know, I don't think, that he was going back in time yet. Did you feel as if, oh, I'm just going out into the infected world?
No, that was a very confusing scene. And then it's followed directly by backside nudity and very aggressive, like delousing and things like that.
Yes.
Strange transition. I don't know why they did that. And I did notice, like, hey, we're not doing any Back to the Future style hop in the DeLorean, hop in the time machine.
Right.
We're going to activate the warp drive or hyperdrive, anything to show you. It's just 1 minute you're in dingy prison complex in Philadelphia, which, by the way, is what normal Philadelphia looks like. And then the next second you're somewhere else.
Just so the audience knows, Philadelphia has changed 0% since
Take
this
that,
movie.
Philadelphia.
Dystopian Philadelphia actually looks better than real Philadelphia.
Shots fired. It's always snowy in Philadelphia.
It's always snowy in Philadelphia.
Well, it is. There are no chyrons that tell you 30 years prior or 40 years prior. In copy about this movie and in interviews, the year that comes up for what the real present is 2035. That would be 40 years in the past to get to 1996. And I think 30 years is generally a term that's used as well. It never tells us this is 2045, this is 2035, this is 2025, or this is 1996. Or that, we get context clues eventually that, like, you got just thrown back into before 1920, in the middle of a trench. But there's only one. There is one chyron that says 1996. And that is when we jump back into Dr. Catherine's lecture on the Cassandra complex, which I think is really, really interesting for this movie and really just for that theme from before. So, Bryan, the Cassandra complex is this idea that being doomed to know the future, but no one will believe you. And so I think we are helped in this with every interaction at first with James Cole. He's either heavily drugged up or he is beaten or he is hungry or whatever it is that he's not cogent. He is a blubbering mess.
I've got to tell you all, I am usually my bad dreams consist of scenarios like this, where I'm somewhere and I've got to get to my car, but for some reason my feet are sticking to the ground, and then I forgot a piece of luggage in a restaurant, but the restaurant's 40 miles away, but my car's still in the parking. It's always this, I can't quite achieve what I'm trying to achieve dream. And this movie is that thing. It's okay, it's possible for you to do your job, but man, you're going to be, you're on Thorazine now and you're bouncing back and forth in time. You don't know what's what anymore, but we think you have a really good brain. So keep trying, sport. It is 100%. These are what my nightmares look like.
I love the mythology behind it. I love that they brought in the curse of Cassandra. That is such an awesome thing to bring into film.
I think so, yeah. But do you think you were prepared? I mean, I know you said that you wanted to come in as ignorant as possible, but there's some pretty heavy theming in this movie. Anti-consumerism, anti-surveillance, and sort of anti-falling in line. We see that there's a whole lot of dialogue about huge earthly problems that the movie can set up like, yeah, hey, this thing happened and we're living in a post-apocalyptic situation. That I think that when you key in to all this stuff, it does, outside of the movie, it does make you think about our responses to crises, to our responses to huge problems. And I think, like with a movie like this, it it makes you feel like we're lucky that we haven't blown ourselves up yet. And this is brought up, but yet, and this is brought up by David Morse's character in a quote that I want to bring up a little later in the show. But did you feel as if the theming of this movie was too heavy-handed, or was its delivery, specifically by Jeffrey, our Brad Pitt character, something that was more entertaining for you, Chad?
I don't think it's heavy-handed. I'm going to probably unfavorably compare this to Terminator 3, which I will go to bat and sort of defend. And if you haven't, people love Terminator 2, and it's easily the best in the franchise. That's not up for debate.
Right.
But what people hated about Terminator 3 is it set very much the same theme as 12 Monkeys of, well, the future is set. No matter what you try and do, you might delay, you might mess with the timeline a little bit, but it's still going to happen. Skynet's still going to win. And I like that. I tend to like the darker endings. I can see our co-host Russell being very upset.
Right. He wouldn't like that at all.
He did not like that the Spartans died in 300. So, yeah, I can't imagine his reaction to 5 billion people dying. And, the reality is Catherine Rayleigh is likely dead. She didn't live 30 more years. So
I gotta tell you guys, I promised at the beginning of this I wasn't gonna belabor this point during. There are so many answers in the completely different TV show for 12 Monkeys.
Yeah.
It is so entertaining. There are things that if you choose to, obviously they're two different entities, but if you choose to, for instance, I took it as fairly sacrosanct that everybody who survived the plague was naturally immune to it. So why are you sending somebody up for samples to make observations? Clearly you could survive on the surface because you're immune to the disease. So, bring in, what's next on that? Okay, well, it mutated. Well, is it actually still killing people? Because we had no idea, you made no acknowledgement that people were still getting sick or anything like that. Plus, they're basically treating him for radiation, which is a completely different ballgame. So it's just a strange thing that they do in the movies, all of which has answers in the show. So
they got more time in the show.
It's really hard. And just so the audience knows, what happened here was I rewatched 12 Monkeys. Both the movie and the show are available on the same service. So when I finished watching the movie, it kicked directly into season 1, episode 1 of the show. And I'm on season 2 something or other right now. So it's compelling because there is more information, whether or not it's information that would be valuable to the film or not, because again, there are enough changes already being made that it's a different storyline. But at least it gives you an idea of, why are we in this bunker? Why are we hunkered down here? Why are we sending people out to look around? There's just more information.
I think the sending people back, not in a spherical energy field naked a la Terminator, but sending them back in order to accomplish some kind of mission with the knowledge that they cannot change the future, is something I don't think I'm willing to believe watching this movie. And I think the point for our audience is, you're supposed to have a little bit of hope. Now, Chad, the way that you put this was, I was kind of in for the dark scenario that it cannot be stopped. We are given a whole lot of misdirection on purpose. The scene where I knew that was him. Well, we actually are given a shot later where the man with the ponytail is Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm.
And that is shown to us as the audience, and that's a lie. It isn't. It's David Morse. It's Dr. Peters. I really think that built into the plot of the entire future, which I guess is the present, the entire present believes that the 12 monkey army is what set the virus loose. And then it is only with 15 minutes left do we see that, no, it wasn't. They just set the animals loose. It was a different guy.
Same day, different guy.
Yeah,
Same day,
we did it, graffiti and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so because we're shown a lie, and we are shown that that's not the truth at the end, our main hero is both. I mean, I think we have two heroes, but our James Cole is shown that when he's not drugged, he can string together sentences and he can get his point across. And he does. But he's not believed by our other hero. Dr. Catherine is set on telling him, no, your brain is doing this. It was never me in the dream before. It's only recent events that is filling my face in with the figure you see in the dream. Then, when they're in the no-tell motel, when they're in the hourly rate motel, and you know what those are for, just for a little privacy, when he is then explaining, no, you're right. Everything I've been saying is something I made up. I did not know that the boy was hiding in the barn. I must have just seen that on TV. And you know what? The kid probably saw it on TV and was copying it. Is that one of our main heroes is not only Bruce Willis being asked to play someone without their full capacity for a majority of this movie, but then it is shown to us that he not only doubts, but completely abandons what he initially was thinking, or like what his mission was, and is willing to accept that, like, no, this is just delusion. And the reason he accepts the delusion is because the voice in his head, or wherever it's coming from, is telling him, well, what do you want? In order to get what you want, you got to be smart. And you have to change how you are in order to achieve it. I think that the direction of this movie gives you enough uncertainty, planned misdirection, confusion, and whether or not we know if the scientists are doing a good enough job at sending someone back specifically into the future, or, Chad, as you say, if they're purposefully messing it up. I think all of this leads us to the chance of hope that something could change. So now that I've presented the table like this, did you feel as if there was a sliver of hope for how the movie resolves?
No, I didn't. From the very first time there was that dream with the kid, I'm like, okay, that's James when he was young. Like, knew that right off the bat. So I knew that he was destined to die. And like I said, throughout the movie, James stresses, I can't change this. I can't change this. What was intriguing to me was the little threads that go through, because James decides, I'm not going back. I'm not going back to, we'll call it the future, but it's the present for him.
Right.
He pulls out the tooth. Jose has to come and track him down and say, why'd you pull out the tooth? And then what does he do? He hands him the gun and insists, why would you do that? Because they knew the past couldn't really be changed. He's setting James up to die. Like, James wasn't interested in trying to kill this guy. He's again reiterating, hey, this is my job. I'm good with numbers. That's all I'm supposed to do. Jose was sent back by the scientists who track him down and sets him up to get shot by airport security. Like, this is pre-TSA land.
Right. Okay, so maybe you didn't have hope, but do you believe it's meant for the general audience?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
I have to believe that that is part of the draw or mission, is to think that the changes we encounter in our 2 hours, the meeting with the homeless guy who tells him about the teeth, the phone call to the lab that has the elder Goins change security so that the younger Goins cannot get in and get the virus. It does set. And hey, I'm not arguing. I'm just thinking that there's enough given to you, especially with the known misdirection, that I think it's supposed to keep you topsy-turvy and think there could be another outcome. What about you, Bryan? Do you think that there's, like, the amount of misdirection and the amount of uncertainty as to what to believe, even from our, I'm not going to say narrator, but from our leads, is part of the draw of this movie, or does it take away?
I could see a certain type of person being completely turned off by the utter disorientation of the first 2/3 of this movie, because they make you feel like the little polygon inside of a magic 8-ball throughout the first hour of this film. And you're just like, what? And now what? I mean, this is truly you got to pay attention to it. And even then, you may or may not get everything they're throwing at you. So I can see that being a turnoff. I kind of ate it up a little bit because I'm like, hey, where is this going? But anytime you have a movie like that where they're intentionally shaking you like the beer can in this episode of The Simpsons with April Fools, it means it's probably not heading toward a good ending. And much like most of the movies of this genre of that time, they're just like, hey, we're tossing out happy endings for a decade. So, no, I would say intellectually speaking, I never expected this to end well. Not because I'd seen it before, but if you presented me with a movie like this from this time period, I'd be like, oh no, it's not going to be a happy ending. I mean, this is, this is Donnie Darko, it's not going to go well. I don't think so, but like I said, one thing that my disbelief did suspend was the idea that he was just there to look. Like in my mind, he was always there to change something or in some way affect a change by being there because, he put things in 12 Monkey Guy's head, and then that leads you to believe if they really are the people doing it, then he's kind of actually responsible for it. So there's another
he
little
believes
mind.
He's responsible.
But I'm just saying, at the time, you're sitting there like, oh, they sent him back, and he's actually the cause of it. That sort of thing. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it to lead to your misdirection. But I think in the end, because it's stated so often, like you can't change the future, I think your assumption is he will try and he will fail.
Are you satisfied? And this is for either of you. Are you satisfied that the amount of interaction that James Cole has with the past that leads to necessary changes, not changes, necessary actions from our Dr. Catherine and from our David Morse character? I mean, there are chain reactions. Do you believe that what happened, the first thing that happened couldn't have happened without the timelines overlapping? As in, could the original disaster have happened without what we see in this movie? Because what it makes it sound like is what's happening in this movie is the first time it happened. But it also seems as if it must have happened this way, meaning that both the adult Cole and child Cole would have had to have been in the same place when this happened, meaning that they're kind of layered on top of each other, which is never fully explained. It's just something where all of the moves, the phone calls, the change in security, the 12 monkeys being believed, right? I think the future is learning new stuff, but it's almost as if the travel back in time had to happen in order for this to happen. Does that feel solid and satisfactory? Because in a way, for me, it does. What about you, Chad?
It's more satisfying to me than the Avengers explanation of time travel. I find that completely ridiculous, and I reject that theory utterly. It's still a fun movie. I like everything about it, other than Tony Stark just really hunkering down and solving time travel in a day and a half.
Right.
It makes sense to me. And what I really liked about this is Cole gives a brief, it's almost like a one-off blink and you'll miss it line where they mention him existing in the same timeline as himself.
Right.
Messes with his cognitive abilities to the point of where he can't think clearly. It's deteriorating his mental state. It's deteriorating his entire being just because, we've seen it in Back to the Future where you can't interact with yourself for whatever reason. He's not interacting, but just being in the same space as another copy of you is dangerous to your health. And so that I found really compelling. To answer your question of did he inadvertently set up these events, or is this causing a ripple effect and we're having to constantly tweak we'll call it the future because of the actions of being sent back? I don't know. I think that's going to make my head hurt too much, and I just
Yeah.
can't, like, yes, there's a ripple effect and there's a cause and effect, but I think the scientists are actually, I took them as smart enough to do the order that they did to set up this ripple effect of, okay, we need Catherine Rayleigh on his side. So instead of 1996, we're going to send him to 1990 to deal with her and give her some time to process. And then we need him to meet Jose. Otherwise, he's just going to stay in this timeline and we're not going to have anyone to prompt.
Jose is right next to him in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, they had already interacted before. I did find I actually wrote on my notes, like, why is Jose handing him the gun? Why can't he just do this? And then I think there's something great, and I'm going to use two movies here that I know don't have universal acclaim, though I like them, like Memento, and as far as thinking and the way that it's shot, and then Mulholland Drive, which is Lynch, which I knew I wanted to bring up second just to get your reaction. But I think Mulholland Drive is on the side of people will go, I don't know if I liked that journey. But what I do is
I knew right away.
yeah, exactly. So the idea is I use a metaphor, which is I call it the roller coaster metaphor. Is when I was a kid at Kentucky Kingdom, I rode a roller coaster called T2, named after Terminator 2. It's a great movie, great ride. But one of the things they ask you to do, it's one of those where you put in like a shoulder harness and your legs are dangling. Mm-hmm. They tell you to do something when you ride a roller coaster like that, which is put your head back and press it against the headrest. You have to do that. If you don't think about doing that, the roller coaster will bounce your head around like it did mine, and will have to make you go home from the field trip because you're too dizzy to stand up because you didn't pay attention to the rules. That was what happened to me. I got bounced around too hard and I had to go home. I wasn't able to finish out the fun field trip with the school. And I think a movie like this should come with a disclaimer. Pay attention. We're actually going to give you clues that help keep you keyed in. But if you don't, you will find yourself a little bit lost. And in David Lynch's case with Mulholland Drive, he's like, stay lost. There is no method.
That is an interesting point. Like, this is not a, you know, how modern movies, and there's been actors, I think Matt Damon came out against this recently, where they have to state the plot point over and over because they expect people to be on their phones while watching them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is not suited for modern audiences. You actually have to pay attention.
There were 12 monkeys. 12.
Right.
Well, they even say that is like Jeffrey and 11 other people. And we haven't talked about Jeffrey at all. Brian, let's toss it over to Brad Pitt's portrayal of this character. What do you think about this award-winning performance?
So I really appreciate everything I read up about Brad Pitt's dedication to staying in a mental institution and studying people in order to play this part well. But my favorite piece of trivia had to been that to actually get his mannerisms correct, that the director took his cigarettes away. So this is him act twitchy because he's going through nicotine withdrawal. So it's like, yeah, there's some acting in there, and there's some just like, and that's awesome. Like that, what a great piece of like, hey, God, he just needed a little something extra. He just wasn't believably, twitchy enough. I'm going to take his nicotine away.
Is it a testament to that manic performance on screen, or is it in part due to, I think it's like a huge vocabulary. We're talking about dollar words here that he's using when he's trying to explain, because, crazy people don't think they're crazy. They think they're right. And I think he believes he's right the whole movie. Chad, were you finding that our early version of Jeffrey, which is when he's in the mental institution, and then later on when he is sort of playing this fake role of being very into what his dad's mission is while also running the underground scheme? I think a lot of our actors in this movie, what I mean is 3 in particular, but our actors in this movie are meant to show a huge range. And I think maybe Brad has the biggest range of all of these.
I was wondering if he'd somehow straightened out his life, because he does a convincing job of acting semi-normal. He's a little bit off, but at that point it's John Cleese in Rat Race. I'm eccentric. So, but he reverts right back into it. He starts ranting and raving again, and his dad even comes to the conclusion, "Oh, you really are insane."
Right.
Well, I mean, I mean, there's all kinds of books about it, about sociopaths. I mean, look at Gone Girl, where, you know, you can feign a certain level of normal just by educationally looking at people and how they react to things to fit in. I mean, Dexter's a great example too. So, you know, there's, you know, all you need is a little modicum of acting ability and the ability to observe other people and how they interact to cover several different mental illnesses. So that doesn't mean when you're just left to your own devices and a bunch of people to listen to you, you're not like crazy.
I have not seen a medication on the market yet that can cure that degree of manic to the point where they can even get to that Machiavellian type personality where they can fool somebody.
Sure.
So, granted, there were 6 years between the time frame.
Well,
Right.
and here's the thing: who isn't to say that he wasn't worse in the asylum due to the medications being pumped in? I mean, that was really a dark time in mental health.
I think that's a huge theme of this movie. is how
Anyway,
awful
so
drugs-
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
this was you know, they weren't in great shape. So especially state run, like non-professional, no, I shouldn't say non-professional, but you can go to the rehab that the stars go to, and then you can go to the rehab that the stars don't go to.
Right.
And those are two very different places.
I think the manic behavior behind Pitt's portrayal is meant to show you that he is one crayon short of a full box. However, his elocution as to what the problems are coming from such a manic person is incredible. Like, there's not a part of his rant about not being part of the system, not being a consumer, not falling into the order of things. None of that is crazy. None of that is raving. That is, if it was written down and you read it, would be fair and a great criticism. I think critical theory is kind of at the heart of the way that I live my life. And I'm not saying that like this is my hero. Remember, I hadn't seen this in nearly 2 decades, but I thought that like his range of being able to put all this together, and then like I thought it was worthy of the award nomination. But let's talk about Bruce Willis here too. When I had decided to bring this back up, I thought I remembered him being physical.
The thing is, anytime you're compromised in the way that he is constantly compromised, whether he's been shot, whether he's confused about what is actually going on at a certain point, whether it's the time travel itself, whether it's who he got caught by and then got medicated from. I mean, he's never in peak form, which is, you know, it's one way to go about this. I mean, there's different takes on how you can send someone back. You can have Kyle Reese, who comes back and he's ready to bad A. You could, or you can have this guy who's literally behind the 8 ball the whole time, and you're kind of pulling for him to have a moment to actually, you know, get some steam behind his sails.
It's not an action movie, and it's not a comedy, but it's got a piece of action here and there,
Yes.
and it's pretty neat. And it's got humor.
Almost like a sad, twisted Benny Hill level, like, humor to it. Like, I don't think this movie was funny, haha, at any point. It's funny, like cringy, over the top. Like, this music is a choice.
Are you talking about kind of that organ grinder accordion style
accordion
music?
Yeah, that's not the music I was expecting to lead into this movie.
Did you like that as a theme? As I do, but I feel like the movie fails in playing with that theme. A movie that some people like, I like, some people don't like. Little Miss Sunshine does an incredible job of using the Devotchka theme 30 different ways. A lot of movies do a great job of using a theme several different ways. This movie does not. It just has kind of that same tempo, same pace, organ grinder kind of, like the monkey with an organ or with an accordion in its hands. It does that so frequently, and I think it does jar you. But I think the humor jars you too. Chad, did you also find as if it was like, well, this is clearly a comedic point? I'll bring up a couple. I think it was a specific point for one of the scientists to say, we're sending you back to late 1996, and that is right on the money. And then it's an immediate cut to World War I.
Yeah.
I think that was done with humor in mind. And like I've said before on the show, not every movie needs to be a comedy, much to Russell's chagrin, but every movie can have a little bit. But I almost think that the humor in this movie it's almost like it's kind of sick, or it's kind of like
Sure.
it's meant to keep you off balance again. Chad, did you notice or like our humorous moments?
I did, and not every single movie, like this has become tiresome in a trope of like every single person has a Marvel quip now.
Yeah, that's true.
All of our movies have to have these smarmy retorts to whatever the situation is, death defying or whatnot. I can even cite While You Were Sleeping. Like they have witty banter as he's about to be run over by a train on a
That is
wind
America's ass.
yeah, like these are not the situations. We don't have to ham it up. But yeah, the mental institution was funny. It reminded me quite a bit of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Like dark movie. You absolutely would never call that movie a comedy. It has funny parts. But Nurse Ratched is straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Well, the reason this film brought Dark City to mind is during certain aspects of it, the sheer over the top, obviously comical nature of it. The panel of scientists is so over the top. The suit he has to wear up to the surface is super over the top.
It really is. Yeah.
The claustrophobic kaleidoscope effect they use in the mental institution that has way more people per square foot than any mental institution should ever have.
And
Same
the
thing with
cinematography is at an angle,
right.
as if it's like a surveillance camera. It's almost
the psych ward bedroom during the pillow with the feathers thing. I mean, all of it is meant to be. And in all of those instances, I think they're popping the accordion thing. So it's funny, but it's not funny. It's over the top. It's whimsy. I'm not sure if there's an adequate word to really put to this, but yes, it's supposed to be crazy. Yes, it's supposed to, I mean, that's literally what it is most of the time. Like you're in a nut house and here's some nutty music and some nutty angles and some, this is all going to, basically shake you up so you're not expecting the next thing. There's so much busyness in so much of this movie that it creates a level of anxiety to where you're like, you're taken out of the, I am the observer who's going to guess the end of this film.
I want to point out that it was only the mental patients that enjoyed monkey business. So I think we all had similar reactions to that particular episode, which you can check out and hear us. But only one of us enjoyed it, and only the mental patients enjoyed it. So come to your own conclusions.
Yeah. Well, and you think of, oh man, you said, I think this is supposed to be funny, but I'm definitely not laughing. Is like, you think about like maniacal laughter, or you think about how do you portray someone that's lost their marbles, is they might be giggling, they might be chortling at something they're not supposed to. The guy who says I'm from the planet Ogo, like this is where it's like, oh, this is quite the strange monologue, and I wouldn't want that person in my face. And like it's almost a nervous laughter, that anxiety you talked about, Brian. I think that's important. It's the audience needs to squirm a bit.
Now, I don't want to make this to be like a John Madden statement. Obviously, everything that happens in a film is a choice. But if you wanted to have a legit drama or a legit suspense film, then you go about a mental ward being something like Girl Interrupted, where, people act crazy because they are crazy, but they don't act crazy like, hey, we just did all kinds of acid. And now we're dancing on chandeliers because, the people just let us do such things. We flip over tables, get the heck out of my chair. Like, there's a level, yes, it is a nut house, but that doesn't mean that everybody there is actively being a monkey, which is basically what's happening in this. And I understand it's a choice. Mm-hmm. They're making a connection with Brad Pitt's psychosis here, but again, it's done with this whimsy to where, it's hyperbolic. Is it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yes,
it's just, the whole thing is hyperbole.
Now, I hope there's no situation where they have those sleeping quarters where all of them are in the same room.
Right. Yeah. That's crazy.
Well, I think
unrestrained, crazy people in the same sleep. That is nuts.
Now, remember, I am not coming in with this is a dealer's choice, or this is one of Dustin's favorites, but it is something that I watched young, and it's more of like, hey, is this any good? But that's where I go. If we are talking about these like specific choices and hyperbole, and our angles and our inclusion of uncomfortable laughter, this kind of thing, where it does feel like it's monkeys, or it feels like this is crazy, I believe that means our director or our producer was successful in the overarching theme of how bad things can get and how crazy things can be. Both James Cole and Catherine Rayleigh go through a swap. James Cole is desperate to be believed for an hour and a half, and then the last 40 minutes he's or I guess in the third act, it's 20 minutes of him is like trying to be calm and save and like good boy, like hey, are the police here? I want to give myself up. I just kind of want to be normal. I want to be here in this time with you. We have our inclusion of romantic love as well. And I got to say, you guys know, I'm normally not a guy that goes, give me more of that. And in this instance, we have, there's a romance supposed to be going on. And this is very clear from our director. Like, I needed Madeline Stowe to be this very specific type of beautiful and smart in order to be believable in this romance. Is this a take it or leave it situation, Chad, where you're like, I don't know if I needed this at all?
I don't need it at all. No, I'm fine with having an attractive, smart woman being called to help. I have great difficulty reconciling the romance when the first meeting he's like attacked 5 cops, he's drooling all over himself, and
that was her best outfit of the movie though, so I totally understand his interest.
Sure.
Yes, yeah, that's fine, but she's empathetic to the board, and she's empathetic, but this is breaking all kinds of codes and everything else. They're ethically trained to not be in that situation in the first place. Whatever. He kidnaps her, he ties her up, like all of these things.
She reacts in kind, like you would expect. Like you hits him, you shouldn't do. Right. Don't do that.
She jumps out of the trunk after he'd strangled her.
Does any of the stuff you just said about board rules, ethics matter if you know the future can't be changed? I believe she tries to make that statement in the theater. If you know you can't change it, then why not smell the flowers? Do you put any stock into that? If none of that matters anymore, I'm dead in 30 days. Does that ring home? Because this is something I've had a discussion with a buddy. Hey, shout out Tucker. He has a very annoying habit of saying, if aliens are real, what's the point of going to work? I'm like, dude, go to work.
Right. Yeah, you're essentially being the Heaven's Gate cult. Like right now, drink the Kool-Aid. Jesus is coming back, and this happens all the time. It happens all the time within Christianity. If somebody says, hey, the rapture's coming, and so people will literally sell all of their things and their predictions, and they'll say, October of 2027, Jesus is coming back.
Yeah.
They're not even writing it to this person. Like, this person is insane. And there's people within Christianity that predict it like several years. Oh, I did the math wrong. Well, it's this year. And they keep getting it wrong.
Yeah.
There's scripture that will tell you'll keep getting it wrong. But, these people will sell their possessions. They'll sell everything they have because they're so caught into it. So no, I'm not. Even if I had even if I called myself and Chad, hey, the world's going to end in a week. Sorry, buddy. Well, your world's going to be turned upside down. Rules no longer matter. I'm just the type of person that can't. Like, I can't flip that switch. It's always going to matter. Social norms will always matter. It's I wanted to fight an old lady in my daughter's taekwondo class who sat down and watched a cooking show from her phone at full volume while they're trying to instruct kids. Like, this woman was close to 70 years old, and I wanted to fight her.
Yeah. Me and my buddies in high school used to think, I wish we could solve all problems with a Matrix fight with no consequences.
Okay. Well, yes, that I could get behind. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice if we could do that. But I think there's something interesting, and it connects to what my choice of superlative is later. But there's a moment when he's in the car after he kidnaps her. After he's like, you got to drive to Philadelphia, and he's in the back seat. He's very hungry, but the radio comes on. He says, "Will you please turn that up?" And he's listening to music, and he says something like, "We don't have this," and he's being earnest about, like, I like this. And when I was rewatching it the second time in the last 48 hours, I said, this is some fun stuff to see on screen, is the full range of emotions of somebody who, well, yeah, I've got this mission and I've got this thing to do, and you're not going to believe any of it. And that's, I know you probably think I'm crazy and I sound crazy, and here are my clues and this, that, and the other, but oh, wow. Blueberry Hill makes me tear up, and I want to hear more of it. And this air is so clean. And he's a crazy person to her, to all, but he's still a person. And so she is an ethical, professional person who, through an hour, 40 minutes, must believe she's right about why his brain isn't working. But then, when those walls come down due to something outside of her control, she just becomes a person. And a person thing happens where, I guess we're going to go take you to see the ocean. And there is, hey, like I said, I'm not normally the guy that's like into romance. I think this strange amount of person on person interaction it isn't a heroic kiss on the top of the Empire State Building. It's a desire for closeness seen from two diametrically opposed styles of people who are thrown into this outlandish, almost unbelievable, crazy type of scenario, that it's only from like talking to you guys in the show that I go, that is cool to see, is if there's time for it, which maybe there wasn't time for it, but I think it's interesting there. It didn't fully take away like it normally does for me.
Well, to kind of invoke another dystopian film / TV series, it's old man Ivan from Snowpiercer. He, for his birthday, he requests an hour of listening to an iPod, and then after he's done, he just hangs himself. Like, I completely
listened to Coldplay.
It was a Russian pianist, but I get your point. But anyway, but I get that. I understand that. So from what you're saying, your point saying, okay, he's gone back in time, everything's really screwed later. Like, I want to listen to music. I want to have a cheeseburger. I'm going to eat some Chinese food. I'm going to smell fresh air for a while. Heck, I would sit up on a roof and just enjoy the world. And then whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you got to have your kicks where you can get them, because those no longer exist where eventually you're going back to.
Right.
So totally get all of that. Now, I will say this. There also has to be a reason for me. So if the reason is the virus is mutating and now threatening the 1% that has gone underground, then all of this makes sense to me. If they have a natural immunity that the virus can't touch and they're underground for ? It doesn't make sense, because 1% of the world's population is 83 million. You need 500 people to propagate the human race. So now, granted, that has to be all in one place, but 83 million is plenty worldwide to make this work again. So I there were too many questions in the film. Once I really started digging into what I wanted to dig into on the why.
I'm concerned about your Google history right now.
Oh, dude, I'm going to be on so many watch lists after this podcast.
What is the minimum number of people required to repopulate?
It's my third to last tab right now. So, I mean, I'm going to be, at least when they arrest me, I'll be able to be like, look, the podcast is coming out in like a month. You'll see what I'm talking about.
No,
Best fertilizer for yard, best fertilizer for, he's not the scientist. He's going to get a sample so that a scientist can be sent back to do the job for the cure so that they can take the surface of the earth back. They aren't immune. But
again, if you're sending a scientist back, that's changing. Like, you can't change it. Like, in my mind, they have to have the scientist cure it in the future in all of its forms to then retake the surface with who's left.
That's what they're doing. She's getting the pure sample.
Right. No, I get that. I'm just saying that the sending a scientist back to do the cure is doing the same thing that Bruce Willis can't do.
It's doing what he can't do. He's just a step along the way. The idea that they've they've separated into what these particular jobs are is maybe not fully explained well enough. The immunity isn't there. They have to get a cure for the present, which is the dystopian time. But that's also where it's like, I like having a better reason, but I also equally like if there isn't a good enough reason, is that less explanation. My very first episode on the show was Adjustment Bureau, which benefited from them not trying to explain it all. And when they started trying to explain it all, I said, well, there just went half a star because it's not going to help you. A couple other things I gotta ask, and I'm gonna throw this to you two for anything else about this movie before hitting superlatives. But I gotta ask you two: are you familiar with the MTV animated show from the mid '90s called The Max?
No.
Okay, what about Eon Flux?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Comic book and movie.
Yep.
If you liked Eon Flux, you would like The Max. The Max really feels like it is connected to this.
I remember the Max comic book. I never watched. I didn't realize that that there was a series.
Yeah, two seasons of it. This reminded me of the Max, and I just wanted to bring that out there. If there's any listeners that were like, "Oh man, I remember the Max," hey, you can rewatch the whole thing in 2 nights. They were very short episodes. And a cool comic.
Just a super quick side note because it relates to this. I went to my barber, which is kind of a funny thing to say, but he maintains my grooming standard on my beard as well as shaving my head. And I walked in the other day and he goes, "Is that a Tank Girl t-shirt?" And I was like, "Man, I'm mentioning you on the podcast for this." So shout out to Hooligan Barber. Thanks,
Shout
Paul.
out. So what else about this movie before we hit our superlatives? Because I know that my main takeaway from these 2 watches was seeing a bigger picture than the movie itself, specifically about responses to crises and sort of an organizational control of the world and ignoring problems.
I'm not sure I buy a future where people can band together to solve any problem that is
right.
globally important. We have seen recent history.
Right. Let me. I'm going to take the one shot at positivity in this entire podcast.
Nice.
I'm going to go full Gene Roddenberry. Star Trek: First Contact. World is absolutely decimated by World War III. It's more faction than ever with everybody who's left. All it takes is a spark. So maybe this is the spark.
So we need to be invaded by aliens.
They didn't invade. They came to say hi after we discovered faster than light travel. That's different.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's
Well, let's
very quietly defeated the Borg while no one noticed.
Right.
Well, let's hit up our superlatives, and we will start with you, Chad. Who's the MVP of this movie?
I think even though he's not in it for a whole lot of time, for me, it was Brad Pitt. His performance is what really is going to stick with me for this movie. So there's the manic energy and the ability, like we talked about, to almost fake being normal before switching back. It was really interesting to watch.
I think so. I think it was worthy of the award. Bryan, your MVP.
I went Bruce Willis on this. He's not nearly as over the top as Pitt, and I understand that that's what he was being asked to do. So this is in no way a knock on Pitt, but there's a lot of subtlety that goes into dealing with and being the character that Bruce Willis is being asked to do, and he's being asked to change that character almost on a dime over and over again through various time frames. So I just feel like that takes a lot. I also read an interesting thing where he got a hold of the script early and took a massive pay cut just to be a part of it because he liked it. And I love it when I hear about, and this is heyday Bruce Willis, and the director liked him so much that he basically wanted him, as he was removing glass from his feet and talking to his wife, Bruce Willis, for this movie. Like, that's what he told him. Like, this is what I'm looking for from, is you removing glass from your feet while talking to your wife. That's the tenor of
there
this.
Was an energy. There was a tenor
from Die Hard. So I don't know. There's a lot asked of him in this film, and he is one of the more subtle characters of it, even though he is the primary character. The pieces he does are not bombastic. They're very quiet. And I just think that's a big cheers to him on this.
I was considering going Terry Gilliam on this, but I think you're right. Is Bruce Willis's range the opposite of the manic energy that we have to get for Bruce Willis? It's pain, it's sadness, it is longing, it is not a giving up. Man, it's close. He's written to give up on explaining the things that could maybe tip someone over the edge of believing him. His lines are written to say, no, just forget it. Just don't ask me. And that is very sad to see, because as an audience, I think you're supposed to go like, just say it. If you say it, she might believe you. But no, he's written to not do it. And I think that pain comes across in a subtle way, and then in other very painful ways too. So that's a good choice from you. Is it subbed in over Terry Gilliam, who I will say, just overarching, not plan, but feel of this movie seems greater than the movie for me. Chad, let's go to your best supporting actor.
With Madeline Stowe, I think her scenes where she really gets to show some range, like when she's trying to get the attention of the 12 monkeys, she does a really good job bouncing kind of back and forth between this energy of, she wants to help James, probably from initially a medical perspective, but she's also hyper aware this individual is sort of fixated on her and there's a danger. So you see that great eye acting back and forth of fear, but also empathy.
I think the choice to have the minute that he jumps out to look at the stenciled on 12 monkeys, she reaches over, slams the door, and locks it. Like good
great,
head on your shoulder, right? But then the conflict is, oh, but I have to help. And like that was very well done. Bryan, your best supporting.
I think for every heads you have a tails, so that's Brad Pitt. So you have this somber, resigned character who's forced to really put up with more than his brain can really handle most of the time, versus the guy who's just has a really, really damaged brain and doesn't have a filter for anything. It's a free flow, constant stream of thought from Brad Pitt. So where you have a guy whose brain is under the pressure of knowing what he knows and the sadness that it brings, you have the opposite guy that is, the dam has been unleashed, it is broken, and now you know exactly what's up.
Well put. I'm going with Brad Pitt here as well. I think it was an obvious slam dunk. His performance is big, and it was so much so that Chad picked him for MVP. The speed and it's so believable. Like this character is the way that he is, but then also like there was a huge stroke of luck is that he was signed on to this project this is all within 18 months, y'all. He had shot, and it was before Legends of the Fall, Interview, and Seven came out.
Oh,
So all three of those
he was throwing bows at this point in time in his career.
Yeah, all three of those came out before 12 Monkeys. So at this point, he's A-list. He's a huge star. And then this role gets put out there. So there's a great stroke of luck with the timing. What's your hidden gem on this, Chad?
I mean, I'll call it a hidden gem, but she's a massive, important part of the movie, and that is Carol Florence. You mentioned her, astrophysicist slash Jones, who's the lady that sits by Peters on the plane, and I'm in insurance. Yeah.
The way that you said that earlier, that was so smart. That was like that didn't cross my mind when you brought up the hey, insurance doesn't stop anything from happening. Like that's really cool. Bryan, what's your hidden gem?
So I really wanted to go with Bart the Bear on this, but just because he
the good bear.
The best part is it says uncredited, but then it's on the IMDb page. So it's like anyway. I always love it when that happens. But I'm going to go one step further on this. During the pillow fight feather scene in the insane asylum, one of the insane compadres behind Brad Pitt's character is none other than Donald Faison, who is Dr. Christopher Turk from Scrubs.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
Eagle.
Speaking of Clueless. Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of Clueless.
Anyway, I just thought that was hilarious because I was like, dude, Turk's in this movie.
Wow.
Which I'm sorry. There are certain people who play a character and this is no knock on their career. This is no knock on them personally, but they are that character for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So he ceases to be Donald Faison and he becomes Turk.
He's Turk. Yeah.
So that he's one of those people.
Yeah.
I rewound it a couple of times too. I was like, is that Turk?
I had a couple hidden gems. One of them is wardrobe related, and I will cover in a sec. Technically, this one is too, but I really like there are 4 instances of hiding David Morse's Dr. Peters ponytail throughout the movie. It's the way that they shoot it is on purpose to hide that he has it. And I know I've said this before, is I'm a guy that tries not to guess the ending. I try to just let the river take you where it takes you. Mm-hmm. But when you first see him, you see him in the audience of the Cassandra lecture. Mm-hmm. It is shot to where you cannot see the back of his head. When he comes up and speaks and he talks about like, hey, you're giving us like end timers, like a bad name. It's only from the front, so you do not see the back of his head. When he's in the lab later on, when the phone call is made to the elder Dr. Goines, he's in the shot and you're seeing his back, and they literally have his ponytail wrapped up in bandages underneath his like surgical skull cap on purpose. And a little bit later in that scene, they shoot it to where you can see the like his profile, but the back of his head is kept to the side. Now, hey, listeners, you might be the ones like, oh yeah, it was so easy. I knew who it was. But that's where the choices were made in a movie that has already proven to you, I will lie to you, is that they're actually hiding that on purpose. So it is a literally hidden gem that is hidden on purpose. Let's move on to a fun one, recasting. Chad, who are you recasting in this movie?
Well, you spend a lot of time talking about Dr. Peters and his ponytail, but I am recasting Dr. Peters. I kind of want David Caruso, CSI Miami legend, Session 9 as well. I felt like Peters didn't really stick out as a character enough, and maybe that's intentional. Like, I kept forgetting that he was in the movie, even though he has
guy in everything, though.
He has the flaming
Green Mile.
Yeah, he has the flaming red hair, and yet still I'm like, yep, I forgot you were here.
I'm used to him being a tougher, burlier looking guy. So to be a scientist who...
Yeah, he's usually the military guy, not the scientist.
He's in The Rock, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
He's the number 2 behind Ed Harris.
Yeah, he's that movie.
I will go give that order.
That order. All right, who's your recast, Bryan?
So I went on the seat next door. So I want to see Maggie Smith as the insurance adjuster / scientist. I just feel like the way she delivers lines, I think that delivery as, oh, I work in insurance, like, I just feel like that would have been ultra just shit.
Yeah. You're a Maggie Smith head too.
I am. I don't know if I ever told you guys this, and this isn't an exercise we need to do right now, but I brought up at work one time, who are your celebrity grandparents on both sides of your family? So think about that. We can use it as an icebreaker one day.
Yeah, that's a good one. But we've got plenty of bad Russell questions to replace, so I love that.
Zing.
Also, this isn't.
What's your favorite breed of centipede?
Is that what it was? I haven't listened.
No, I know. I'm just making that up.
No, it was like, what's a movie that makes your skin crawl?
That's actually pretty good.
Yep.
And this is not the Bash Russell podcast, even though it might sound like that quite a bit. It's not. And Russell, we like your.
It's just not going to get old anytime soon.
right. And we love you. You're the best punching bag anybody could ask for. For me, I cannot recast Madeline Stowe. I love her, and Pitt is awesome. Won an award. But wouldn't you want to see Matthew Lillard do this?
Yes.
100%. And here's another thing. I just want to say something on this. Can you imagine a movie like 12 Monkeys coming out today and somebody getting an Academy for it?
No.
A movie like this would have 0.000% chance.
We talked about it before, though. Like you mentioned, Girl Interrupted. Angelina Jolie was nominated, right?
That is a massively different movie than this.
But I mean, we like nominating people for playing crazy people.
I hear you, but I mean, from nonfiction book about mental illness all the way through to Winona Ryder and Jolie's basically launching of their careers, like that movie was made for the Academy.
Yeah.
If you read 12 Monkeys, which I haven't, I'll flat out say I have not read 12 Monkeys. I just, and then the way that this is created and how it came out, I don't think there's any shot in the world that this even gets looked at. And that's a knock on the Academy, not a knock on this movie. I think there are tons of movies that come out that don't have the Daniel Day-Lewis effect that should be looked at for Academy Awards for good acting from various standpoints or various anything.
I feel like we're finally removing the stick from our backside with the Academy. There were 9 horror nominations.
It was a good year for it. It was a really good year for it.
Like, I look at a movie like Weapons, fantastic movie, but in no other year would I be like, yeah, this is going to get nominated. And I feel like we're coming around to it. I mean, Sinners was huge as well.
I need to see it as a regularity, not giving a dog a bone.
That's fair.
So we'll see. And I'll tell you, I've had some Academy Award winning movies that I was like, yeah, that earned it. So please don't think I'm always against it. But by and large, I've been very disappointed about what even gets a look from the Academy. And this year was better. I need to see it in regularity before I'm like, okay, it's cured.
That's fair.
It's not the ozone yet.
Yeah, I agree with your initial statement there, Brian, but I can't elaborate on it because then my inner ornery self will alienate. So I agree with you. What's our best shot of this movie, Chad?
I think the shot cutting between there's a cartoon in the background at the mental institution, and this character is bonking his head repeatedly on a tree, and it's cutting back and forth between that and the Looney Tunes sound effects and Goins. And we just have this, it's really hammering home the crazy manic energy that's going on.
Sure.
Good choice. Yeah. What about you, Brian? Best shot.
I absolutely love the lion on the ramparts of the building.
That's good.
That was my WTF shot.
Yeah. Well, you already had the bear. So you got Bart, and then I don't know if the lion had I didn't go deep enough in the credits to find if the lion had a name, but the lion on the ram.
Wait, what was the lion from Jungle or Ghost in the Darkness?
From Ghost in the Darkness. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
JD will get mad at us for not
One of the
remembering.
man-
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that I just felt like that was really cool. It's like you just had a close run-in with a bear, and now you got a lion saying, "Hey, welcome to the new jungle, B."
The close-ups on Jeffrey's eyes, on Brad Pitt's eyes, are really good. But I think I'm gonna once again kind of let Brian's answer kind of sway me. Is I love the elephants going down the road in that causeway.
Even the flamingo.
Yeah, that's good too.
Like that was very like Day After Tomorrow, except with a non-indigenous bird. Like that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Best scene, Chad.
Dustin, you brought it up, but it is when Rayleigh is sitting in that car and you hear James screaming, 12 monkeys, 12 monkeys. And she gets this look. You're like, is she going to drive off and leave him? And it just keeps tightening and making you feel her anxiety and just the tension of that scenario. And ultimately, yeah, she does get out of the car and decide to help. But you have that just conflicted moment. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I did too. Brian, what's your best scene?
I actually like when she really starts to turn into somewhat of a believer, where she's talking to Mr. Dick Wolf, NYPD.
Chris Maloney.
Yeah, Christopher Maloney. Yeah.
And he's basically calling her out, saying, like, either you've got Stockholm Syndrome or you're full of crap too. And that whole piece, because you start to believe that next time he comes back, at least it's a more sympathetic ear who's willing to hear him out. And that's really a turning point in the film, because everything prior to that was that chaos. That it was an anxiety-provoking chaos, because you're like, how's he going to do it? He's in an insane asylum. The one person who's even somewhat interested in helping him, and not for the right reasons, is getting crapped on by her really, really flippant peers. I mean, you're sitting there thinking like, man, all you guys would be fired today, for acting the way you're acting right now. So you're at a point where you're getting Magic 8 Ball really, really hard, and finally you get to settle on some possible answers once she has that scene after he goes back.
Yeah, we didn't even bring up the idea that she is, I'm not going to say going rogue within like the established scientific community that's surrounding her, but there was a pretty big aspect about her. The scientific fact is just an agreed upon truth, and science disproves alternatives, as opposed to saying this is absolutely true, we just agree on it. And so the idea that she's kind of going against what the rest of these people say, that was another piece of this that I really enjoyed. I had already brought up my best scene, which was when he asks to turn up the music. And there was something interesting where an ad comes on, a radio ad comes on, and he goes, yes, I understand. And she's like, he's not talking to you. And then she says, it's an advertisement, that nobody says it that way.
Right. Yeah. That bothered me.
That was weird, right?
But see, you know what it reminds me
She
of?
says it twice. What's it remind you?
Demolition Man.
Okay.
Oh, what a relief it is! Like they just sing ads all the time. Like that's what the weird, crack smile dystopian future that you can appreciate there is like. Oh yeah, we just sit around listening to commercials and singing along to jingles.
The second scene where he brings up music, I didn't think the diegetic music fit that scene. So it's that one that actually makes the scene I like better. Is that they actually fail at this the very next time they try it. We've got some interesting wardrobe and makeup here. Chad, what's your best wardrobe or makeup moment?
We referenced him earlier, but there is a mental patient. His name is L.J. Washington, who wears a tux, and he's the one that is saying, I'm not going to Ogo. And then we get the pan down, and he's in bunny slips.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'll be better when I stop going there.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, what's your best wardrobe or makeup moment?
I mentioned it earlier. I was trying to intentionally be brief about it, but the outside world quarantine suit, which is absolutely ludicrous. It's like you're wearing two greenhouses in.
It's wild. Yeah.
Like you said, completely over the top. For me, I had wanted to bring up the ponytail thing earlier, but I already that fit into like my hidden gem part with like conscious decisions. All of the future scientists have particular eyewear. One of them has like the glasses, the sunglasses eye patch where one is knocked out. One of them's got like almost like a multi-loop focal, which is kind of neat. But when they're prepping him to be sent back into the past, right before they send him to 1917 or whenever that is, there is one scientist who his eyewear is literally just a white set of swimming goggles. It's like, oh, we didn't have enough eyepieces. We'll give them those. Like, they're not like safety goggles. They are like if you're swimming in the pool.
I'm telling you, there's got to be some sort of link to mental illness and whoever's left to be a scientist at that point. That's really how I took it. I was like, man, they're scraping the bottom of the academic barrel at this point, trying to figure out, how to save the world.
I think you're right too. Is it like even the way he says like the scientists?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah, the scientists. No, I feel you on that too. All right, we got 2 left here. Chad, change one thing about this movie.
There were 3 unnecessary nude scenes, and so I would just like those
butts.
Yes, it was
butts. Yeah,
it was jarring.
More butts.
I could have done with a little less man butt.
Sure,
a little bit more doctor butt.
Yeah, why not?
No, it's just not.
Let's just keep it buttless.
Right? Yeah. This is gonna sound weird, but Brad Pitt's made sense like a little bit. But by the time he did it, I was like, "This is the 3rd time. Is this gonna be a thing? Like, is this your thing, Terry Gilliam?"
Maybe it's a clapback. I'm sure there was probably something about female nudity in movies and activism going on at the time. So it's like, all right, we'll give you some butts.
Yeah. We know what you're here for, Brad Pitt's butt.
Nice choice of words there, Brian, with clapping and cheeks. Hey, Brian, how about your change one thing?
So if there really is a sinister understanding and a highbrow reason the scientists are doing what they're doing, then I need the panel of scientists to be less comedic.
Okay.
Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't make this like silly and then have them be really this master brain knowing exactly what they're doing. Like,
or have one of them be silly, the rest are very serious.
Yeah, something like, Doug's doing it again. Like, it just, it's you either have to go with a focal point on they know what they're doing, or they're just making this up as they're going along and hoping for the best. So that's really the crux of the movie for me, because I'm willing to go with Chad on his idea. I think that's a great idea. I didn't think of it that way because, again, it was too silly. It was too mental. Like you already have this guy going to around mental patients, and then he pops back, and these people have been underground for an undisclosed amount of time, and they're losing it too. So really, who's crazy in this instance? Like, I was just feeling the vibe that we're just on our last leg of sanity anyway. So let's just roll the dice and see who's getting drunk. So I didn't see it as a master plan. I just saw it as we got lucky that we can even use this technology enough to send you back, and we're not even competent enough to send you back to the right place in time. But everything worked out in a certain way to provide the plot for this film. But are we actually helping anything, or did we supply exactly our own doom?
Sounds a little bit distracting. Yeah, it could have been more input to the seriousness of what this mission is. I think I feel you on that. My change one thing is I believe, speaking of changing in the past, is that I think that there's meant to be an idea that you should hope that something changes for the better. And I am actually happy. I like dark endings too. I'm happy that nope, gets away with it. It's what happens. But let him see the ocean. He doesn't get to.
I hear you. I would like to have seen Montana.
Oh, yeah.
Andy Dufresne.
Mm-hmm. So that's it. Plus, if he's at the ocean, hey, maybe we get some Dr. Cheeks in there. Okay. Best quote, Chad. Don't shake your head at me.
Don't judge me. She was pretty.
No, just the reviews that we get sometimes. Dustin is the reason.
You're welcome.
No. Best quote. This is because of our director, Terry Gilliam. So you need that when they say, this isn't an inquisition. I'm like, what an oddly specific thing. So when it came from a Python crew who does, no one suspects the Spanish Inquisition. I have to believe he's just littering this with little Easter eggs to make
and that's fun too. And who doesn't like a good Easter egg, especially if it's in the variety of the if you know, you know. Everybody likes being in the know on that.
Yeah, well, good choice there, Chad. Bryan, what's your best quote?
The movie never changes. It can't change. But every time you see it, it seems a little different because you're different.
Yeah. This is when they are doing a very specific and very purposeful callback with Vertigo.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's well done. And there's other musical cues throughout the movie that actually tie back to that. I didn't go too far into the research part of that, but this is all very much intentional when they do this, and I think smart. Pretty cool to have a reference, a movie reference within a movie. I've always liked that.
Yep.
Is you have to be brave to do it. Are you too brave in Ocean's 12 to say Julia Roberts looks like Julia Roberts? Yes, that was too ambitious.
I still loved it. I thought that was hysterical.
What are you doing? We are the Retro Roberts Roundtable.
Yes, we are, but I thought that decision was lazy. I didn't like it. My best quote, I had a couple. You brought one up earlier, Chad, which is Dr. Rayleigh is upset that he kills those two guys in the theater. You killed him. And his response, all I see are dead people. Mm-hmm. Which, this comes out before The Sixth Sense. This comes out before Fight Club. So the idea that, like, this happens 6 years before those, I like the timing here. There's a funny one that I got to let out, which is, and it's a funny one because this movie is not a comedy, but it's got some humor in it, is in the No-Tell Motel when the cops show up, is the guy is in the bathtub and he's screaming from the bathroom, I'm the victim here. I was attacked by a coked up whore and an effing crazy dentist, which is really good.
It was.
But now I've got to get back to my main best quote because it is an overarching thing. And it's David Morse's quote at the book signing when he kind of slinks up and starts communicating with Dr. Rayleigh. The planet cannot survive the excesses of the human race, proliferation of atomic devices, uncontrolled breeding habits, pollution of land, sea, and air, the rape of the environment. In this context, isn't it obvious that Chicken Little represents the sane vision? And that Homo sapiens' motto, let's go shopping, is the cry of the true lunatic. He doesn't have a lot of screen time, and he's our big bad.
He just drops this bomb and then walks off.
This is the Big Lebowski. It's like, you're not wrong. You're just an a-hole.
Well,
shut up, Donnie. You're out of your element.
You're out of your element, Donnie. But is there anything right now?
This is my book signing.
May 2026. Is there anything about what he's saying right now about our current world situation that is not very much screaming are we Cassandra, cursed to know what's gonna happen and powerless for anyone to believe us or straight up do anything about it? We're in the middle of another war. We're about to build a data center in Utah that is the same size of the distance between Portland and Seattle. We are destroying the planet. This guy's delivery of this just so rang home with me of like, gosh, we're all Cassandras, powerless to see what's happening. We just can't stop it. And that's your feel-good Dustin moment. Let's get to our ratings here. Chad, Bryan, you know our ratings is that out of 5 stars, 0 being the worst, 5 being the best. You can do half stars if you want, but you do not have to. Chad, how do you rate 12 Monkeys?
Dustin just merrily singing, we're all screwed. Yep. I'm going with 4 stars. Yeah. The only thing that kept it from being a 5, and this is something, Dustin, we've talked about, you can somehow turn off your brain to the point where you don't guess movies. I do. And my brain will not stop. and I hate when I'm right. And I started off not being surprised by the conclusions that I came to. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And I think the presence of Bruce Willis, even though Sixth Sense came out later because I didn't see these in order that they were released, I'm like, Bruce Willis is here. Something weird's going on. I don't trust any of this. It's going to have a twist ending.
Is it twist?
Yep.
He's a twist. No, that's a good rating there, Chad. How about you, Brian?
Yes, I also went 4 stars, but I did it for a different reason. This is a wildly chaotic movie, and even knowing, any and all aspects about it, its rewatchability is a little rough. It's something you can come back to probably once every 5-10 years, but not something I'm like pulling out of the bag like, hey, I'm bored today, I'm going to watch 12 Monkeys. So really rewatchability is where this took its only real hit. There are a couple things that if they had made this, I'd be curious. If they had made this a completely serious dystopian movie, I'm kind of curious how I would have felt about it, seeing it just done with a straight face, if you know.
We're only in May, but I wonder if this is our least rewatchable year of movies ever.
It has been a rough year. But anyway, that's the only reason. Again, I love the movie. I've really got very few complaints, but I've got a lot of what ifs. And if a couple things had been done a little differently, if this was shot with a complete ear to a suspense drama, I'm just curious what I would have thought of it under those pretenses.
Yeah, this is interesting here is I went 3.5 stars on your first watch, 4 on your second. And this is my fourth, so it's 4 stars that I end up on. But this is something that if you recommended to someone that they would, you'd have to give them that disclaimer, like pay attention.
Yeah.
And
you really have to.
Yeah.
And you have to know your friend or know your family member, whoever it is that you're telling, like this is more than you think. This is not Fifth Element Bruce Willis. Okay. This is something different, and pay attention. You're going to want this. And what you're wanting isn't feel good, pay attention. It's really that kind of mind warping kind of like, can you follow instructions and keep your head against the headrest? So for general audiences, I think it might be a little dense and twisty for in general. And I think though I end up on 4 stars, this is one where I think on my year-end ranking, it's going to punch above its weight because I think coming back to not all of my dealer's choices end up with great ratings. And this is one where I go, I think this one is greater than how I can objectively rate it because it's got it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like one of those, that doomsday guy in front of the fire that they show in this movie who's recounting some of the.
You're one of us,
right? That guy. Like I'm with that guy. For some reason, there's something about this movie that makes it punch above its weight. But that's enough for 12 Monkeys. Let's choose something for next time. Chad, can you help me?
Sure can. I didn't hear no bell. We're not done, and the hits keep coming. Next week, we're going to contend with movies featuring prize fighters. So option number 1 is Cinderella Man from 2005. True story of James J. Braddock, a supposedly washed-up boxer who returned to the spotlight to win the heavyweight championship of the world. Spoilers. Option 2, The Setup from 1949. Expecting the usual loss, a boxing manager takes bribes from a betting gangster without telling his fighter. Or option 3, On the Waterfront from 1954. An ex-prize fighter turned New Jersey longshoreman struggles to stand up to his corrupt union bosses, including his older brother, as he starts to connect with the grieving sister of one of the syndicate's victims.
There's times when I'm almost not listening because I know where I'm going, but On the Waterfront sounds incredible. I never heard of it. We're doing it. On the Waterfront from 54.
Okay,
that's next week. Well, boys.
And I'll say one other thing too.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to not Raging Bull, we're going 1.
Oh,
there we go.
I love Raging Bull.
Oh my God, I had to watch it in college, and I was just like, why can't this movie ever end?
Oh my goodness, one of the best shots in all of cinema.
Well, it was another dealer's choice. Boys, thanks for joining me.
Thank
Of
you.
course.
And thank you, all the lords, ladies, and knights of the Retro Movie Roundtable. We invite you to reach out to us. We want to hear from you. Subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a like on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at movie_retro. Email us. Ask us a question. Tell us something you want us to cover at retromovieroundtable@yahoo.com. Producing and providing this podcast is fun, but not free. We invite you to support the show at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/retromovieroundtable. Any contribution is much appreciated and will go towards making the show better for you, the listeners. As always, thank you for listening. Be good to each other and watch more movies. Brian?
That'll mean your ass if you don't get your finger on the phone. Finger it.